Southern California, good evening and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Hope you all are having a great holiday. Hope you all are being safe. And we have a lot to talk about, such as the Los Angeles Lakers getting their butts kind of kicked last night against the Clippers. The Clippers did indeed spoil the Lakers' championship ring ceremony by handing them an L. And then the Rams, we talk about losses. The Rams probably took the biggest L this past week, losing to the Jets Jets. How detrimental was that loss? And USC taking an L to Oregon in the Pac-12 championship in terms of football. What just happened with the Trojans? And why were they just so sloppy? And also LAFC took an L in the Champions League final against Tigres. LAFC led 1-0, and then Tigres unfortunately scored 2 in the second half, which was quite the sad ending, but for Galaxy fans, we are rejoicing. And by we, I mean all other Galaxy fans. But also, we still have some college basketball going on, because that needs to go on some more. All that and more on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, episode 25. You know, honestly, I can't believe this show is already a quarter of the way through the century mark. It's quite astounding. And it feels like I just started all the way back in July, so it's quite amazing that we're already through near the end of 2020 and whatnot. So, time flies, I guess, but we are here now, and it's almost Christmas time. It's almost the end of 2020, and I definitely am glad to be here on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. And yes, it is a Wednesday afternoon. It's not Friday. So for those of you wondering, hey, why is this show on today and not Friday? Well, it's Christmas Day on Friday, so I decided to move it from Friday to Wednesday, which I already talked about. So I think I said I was going to go live at 5, but I decided to switch it up to 4:30. But looking back at it, I think maybe 5 would have been better, but I think 4:30 is better because then I'll be able to get some din out of the way. In other words, dinner. So before we get into the Southern California sports, IE Sports Radio has sponsors. Our first sponsor is the Raider Ramble, the Las Vegas Raiders outlet delivering the latest news in terms of Raiders football with tons of articles written daily by a staff of talented sports writers. You can follow them on social media at the Raider Ramble. That's at the and then Raider and then Ramble on Instagram and Facebook. And you could like them on Twitter or follow them on Twitter. Like them on Facebook or follow them on Facebook, which is the Raider Ramble. Once again, the Raider Ramble, delivering your Raider news hot off the press, or in terms of the internet. And then our second sponsor for IE Sports Radio is Legacy Financial. 2020 has definitely been a tough year, especially financially, but you could stay positive by keeping your faith and continuing to work hard toward your goal. And if you're ever in a financial struggle and you need some help, call 951-732-0130 or 510-928-2104 and book your appointment today. Andrew and Ayo are just two people on a mission to help families build a legacy and help you financially. And their social media is on Twitter. You can follow them on Twitter at legacy_uncut. And on Instagram, you can follow them at Sims_uncut. And then our last sponsor for our iSports Radio is 26 Sports. Looking for interviews and champions, contenders, and prospects in terms of boxing and MMA and in all combat sports? Well, then 26 Sports is there to deliver your boxing and MMA and all sorts of combat sports media, as Michael Ruda recaps his shows throughout the month and does a top-notch job in terms of boxing and in terms of all things combat sports. He's basically like Marcus Less Great, except not Marcus Less Great. Anyway, on Twitter you could follow him at Wolf2988, and then on YouTube you could follow him or subscribe to him, 26 Sports. That's 26 spelt out and then the word sports. So definitely do follow our 3 sponsors, and we definitely appreciate our 3 sponsors for this week. So without any further delay, let's get on into the Southern California sports of this week. So we're actually going to get into the best and worst moments of 2020 in terms of Southern California. So for me, it's in terms of, I'm going to start off with the bad moments because we obviously got to get the bad out of the way. So a lot has happened in terms of Southern California, positive and negative. For the negative, it obviously hurt us and hurt all of Southern California quite a bit. For Southern California, obviously the big negative would obviously be Kobe Bryant passing away in that tragic plane crash, which obviously hurt not only myself, but it hurt all of Laker Nation. And then also his daughter was on there, and then 7 others from Southern California as well. So it was definitely heartbreaking to see, and I hate for that to happen, and I feel for the families. But obviously, when it comes to like true blue Laker fans who stuck with Kobe through thick and thin, even during the times where he kind of wanted to trade, it was heartbreaking. It felt like a piece of them just got ripped out of their heart, and it sucks because I think Kobe would have been quite proud of LeBron and the current Lakers. And something that really hit me in the feels was LeBron posting a picture of him getting, it was actually a drawing of him getting his 4th ring of the ring ceremony, and someone sketched Kobe Bryant in there in a suit just smiling at him while LeBron's putting on his ring, and I'm like, dang, man. And it's almost been 1 year since that happened. It's almost been 11 months. It's almost been 11 months exactly. So obviously that was the big heartbreaking moment in terms of Southern California sports. And another sad and tragic moment is obviously COVID shutting down pretty much every high school sport and college sport in 2020, as high school sports in Southern California got shut down. And I feel for all the seniors, not just for this year, but for last year as well. Like, especially for the spring sports. Like, it was one thing for this year's sports, but in terms of like all the sports, like the spring sports and then the fall sports, and no one's still getting word on if they're going to play or not. It's just a waiting game, and unfortunately, we're still waiting to see when everything's going to be given the green light. And I hope those poor seniors do get to play, because if not, then they're going to probably never get this moment of their life back, because honestly, they've earned it, and then they deserve something like this. They deserve the chance to play. So, and then also the college sports. Some of the college sports got postponed, especially, and again, just like the seniors in high school, it's heartbreaking for the seniors in college, because some of those players who have worked hard and come back from injuries are basically not getting the chance to play. But obviously, they can't control it. They didn't ask for this. I mean, no one asked for this. And honestly, I think that I really hate to say this, but COVID sucks. COVID is probably the worst thing that could have happened to everything, because now it's changed everything, and we're not going to go back to normal. It's going to be a new norm. So that's another sad moment. Just the Southern California colleges getting shut down, and especially the Big West Conference and their fall sports. Because I feel for the seniors on the Long Beach State women's volleyball team, the women's soccer team, the cross country teams, and I think the men's water polo team. And there's still no. I still kind of don't know why Big West Conference men's and women's basketball gets to play, but not the fall sports. But it's probably because of revenue and money and how they could produce that. So it's still heartbreaking, especially for me who is at Long Beach State. And I feel for those athletes, and it sucks because I don't know because most of those seniors that play a fall sport aren't going to be able to play their senior year. And we still don't know if any of those Big West schools are going to be crossing over to other conferences like Hawaii. Well, even though they're not Southern California, will be playing in the not Big 12, the Pac-12, and then maybe Long Beach State or UC Riverside playing in the WAC or anything else of that sort. So it's just a tough time for collegiate and high school athletes alike, and that's kind of one of the bigger and sadder moments of what's been happening in Southern California. And I feel for them all. I just want to give them a big fat hug and say everything's going to be all right, and we'll get through this. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, the Big West Conference will find some way to reverse this and say, hey, since everything's cleared up, we can go play fall sports. And that would be a good thing. And this whole thing just feels like it's a bad dream waiting to wake up from. So I just hope this whole virus just blows over and whatnot. As we say hello to Larry B in the chat room, thank you for tuning in, my brother. I appreciate you for tuning in. And yes, now let's go to the positives of what happened in Southern California. So now we move on to the positive things that happened in the world of Southern California sports. And honestly, there were a lot of positives. And there were some good times, obviously. The first one is for sure the Lakers winning the NBA championship. And it's been a long time coming for Laker fans, especially for true blue Laker fans such as myself, and it's been a fun time. So I was very happy that the Lakers won the NBA championship after what it was like 10 years since they last won it, almost 10 years, and it was a title drought that was looking to be ended, and honestly, I'm glad they ended the drought, and I was very happy. So I hope the Lakers can repeat again, and if they do, then cool, and if they don't, then oh well. So we'll see how it goes. So we shall see. So actually, we're going to take ourselves a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to be, we have some I actually have myself a little guest I'm going to be bringing on, and we'll be bringing him on in a little bit. So you're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it. College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I A in the FBS? Well then, look no further. Join myself, Larry B, and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome in to the Neutral Zone. I'm your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and you're listening to IE Sports Radio. If you like big, nasty hits, if you like slap shots straight to the neck, if you like it when the gloves hit the ice and the big boys get down, then this is your show. On IE Sports Radio, this is the Neutral Zone. May our shots on goal always be true and straight to the net. If they are not, may they be followed up, redirected, or change collected. Let's go on IE Sports Radio with me, your host, Robert Kavanaugh, and this is the Neutral Zone.
And we are back with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. You can catch all those amazing shows here on IE Sports Radio. You can find them on all sorts of platforms such as YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and even iHeartRadio. So without any further delay, let's bring on our guest. My guest is my brother from the same mother, and he is a very knowledgeable sports guy, and he is a diehard Lakers fan, and he's also a passionate Rams fan. And he likes some other sports teams as well. Without any further delay, introducing for the last time in 2020, my brother from the same mother, Mr. Justin Rodriguez. Justin, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Can everybody hear me?
I'm pretty sure they can, and you probably sound great. You sound like $1 million in my opinion.
Yeah, I know you're having a little technical issue here, so I just want to make sure everything's okay. Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I had myself a 2020 moment,
okay.
but luckily 2020 is almost out of the way, and we won't be able to have to deal with this. Hopefully, 2021 is going to be better. So.
Yeah, it can't get any worse.
It definitely can't. All right, so let's discuss some Southern California sports. First and foremost, we have to get some housekeeping out of the way. These are the thoughts and opinions of myself and my brother, Justin Rodriguez, and not of any second or third party organization. So just got to get that out of the way. So anyway, so let's get into some Southern California sports, because I, for one, know you're not too thrilled with some of these results, as am I. Am I right?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Are you talking about the best and the worst of 2020?
No, some of these Southern California score results, such as like the Lakers and the Rams.
Oh, you're talking about this last week.
Yes.
Okay. So, sorry, I didn't know where you were going. Yeah. You could you could chalk this latest Rams loss as one of the worst of 2020. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. So, all right. So now that you mentioned the Rams, let's start with that. So the Los Angeles Rams. Oh, good gracious! What happened? They lost to the Jets 23-20. Good gravy almighty. Lord have mercy on my soul. And how fitting.
Lord have mercy on all of us.
Yeah, and how fitting they lost to a quarterback who was from Southern California, Sam Darnold, who grew up in San Clemente, went to San Clemente High School. He was a two-sport athlete, amazing quarterback for the Tritons, and he also went to USC, where he won the Rose Bowl, and he led USC to a Pac-12 championship. So indeed, it was a bad loss, but I think Sam Darnold, people don't give Sam Darnold a whole lot of credit. He's just had some rotten luck. Like, the poor guy had his shoulder slammed by, I forget who slammed his shoulder, but it was a member of the Denver Broncos. I think it was maybe Nick Chubb, or not Nick Chubb, Bradley Chubb. Nick Chubb plays for the Browns. Bradley Chubb of the Broncos, or someone of that Excalibur. Well, either way, he missed some games, and he hasn't really been the same, and neither have the Jets, but the Jets finally got their win in Sam Darnold's homecoming. And funny how, okay, before we continue on, does anyone here remember when the then San Diego Chargers lost to the then 0-14 Cleveland Browns? That was kind of expected because the Chargers were indeed terrible that year. They had so many injuries that it was just mind-blowing. So absolutely just atrocious. And I think everyone even expected Cleveland to win. And I think Cleveland was favored to win that game. I don't think they were favored by too much, but they were indeed. The Browns were indeed favored to win that game, and it was bound to happen. And wouldn't you know it, the Chargers lost to them, because they're the Chargers, and they're from Southern California, and they're cursed. So the Rams losing to the winless Jets, that is not supposed to happen. The Rams are supposed to be this talented Super Bowl caliber-like team with talented pass rushers like Aaron Donald and Jordan Fuller, and great cornerbacks like Troy Hill and Jalen Ramsey, and some solid offensive players like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Jared Goff is okay, and all sorts of other talented players across the board. And yet they have their worst game of the season against the Jets Jets. And the worst part about the Rams losing is that now the Seattle Seahawks are now in first place in the NFC West. And it's funny because the Seahawks lost to the Giants a few weeks ago, and yeah.
Okay. Stop right there. First of all, two things. First, stop spelling out a Jets. It sounds like you're chanting and rooting for the Jets. Jets. What does that spell? Jets. Yeah, I'm sick of that, especially considering I'm still peeved about, this loss. Second, no, the Rams are good enough to beat the Jets. Anybody is good enough to beat the Jets. This is, I don't know what happened. All right, I don't even know where to start. Okay, I guess I'll start with the defense. So I was watching the game, in the comfy confines of my second story room, and the Jets scored. It's like the announcers. I don't know. Maybe they jinxed them, but we've talked about the announcer jinx in the past. But they scored a touchdown. 7-0. They made it seem like, wow, the Jets already score a touchdown. Against the Rams. I said, okay, no, it's one touchdown, it's one score. Big deal. The Rams will come back, but then they score, but then they score again, and pretty quick too. What really got me worrying was how their offense had such a lackluster start. I think the Rams in the first half were like 0 for 5 on third down, and they had several 3-and-outs. And I'm just thinking, no, come on, this can't be. This can't be our day here. And lo and behold, it wasn't. Here's another thing. I think Sean McVay, just came underprepared. I gotta blame him. I mean, I'm not absolving Jared Goff either, but he was not prepared to attack the Jets defense. I mean, the Jets have some good defensive players. I mean, Frank Gore had a great game. I mean, especially for being 37. He's had a heck of a career. But I felt like defensively he was underprepared too. Aaron Donald, give I can't believe I'm saying this, but give Adam Gase and their offensive plan credit. They knew what to do with Aaron Donald. They put like 3 of their blockers on Aaron Donald so he couldn't get through, and he just completely exposed the Rams defense. They could not stop Sam Darnold. It's like no other player on the Rams defensive line was willing to step up and make plays, at least not right away. They did make their adjustments in the second half. And they crawled back in it, and I thought, I thought when the game was 23-17, I said, okay, we're only down 6 now. There's still lots of time. I think it was like 10 minutes to go, and we're going to pull this out. But again, Sean McVay, and Jared Goff just made bad decisions at the end. Like, you're only, the very last play, you're only down 3. Jared Goff didn't need to make, long passes. Like he made such. I don't know what he was trying to do. Like, just long Hail Mary passes when all you need to do was get a first a first down. I think they were only like 4 yards away from a first down, and they didn't cross that threshold, and it cost them the game. They just needed to get in a good enough range where they could tie the game and send it to overtime, and then pick them apart. But they were just bad decisions, all around. Offensively, underprepared defensively, and it was just such a bad game to lose. I didn't even look at my Twitter feed, but I could see what all Rams Nation was feeling. I could see the tweets just by picturing them in my mind. Two of the biggest hardcore Rams fans in Los Angeles, Steve Mason and Eric Dickerson, that the following afternoon just let them have it. They were not happy. It was a lot. That game. And Steve Mason's also a big USC fan, and so it was like, I know you're going to talk about SC a little later, but just that and the Rams game, the Rams loss. It was just double, a double whammy for Mason. He was just in such a bad mood. And I think all Southern California football fans were in a bad mood after Sunday's loss. Not a good way to head into the holiday weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, at our house, Christmas is not canceled, and I don't think anyone's going to be canceling Christmas. But it was definitely an unacceptable loss. And you mentioned,
wait, fortunately or unfortunately?
And unfortunately, it was a bad loss. But as I was saying, you mentioned
no, Christmas isn't canceled. No. We can't. We're still going to have a Christmas. I just want to clarify.
Yeah, we are having Christmas. Yeah, Christmas is not canceled at the Rodriguez house. But you do mention the fact that that Jared Goff made some questionable decisions. Like, I think you did make a great point that I think it was 4th and 3, and all Jared Goff needed was just 3 yards. I think he even could have ran for the first down. And instead he just took a deep shot, which was eventually incomplete. And there was also another time where I think all Jared Goff needed was, I think it was 1 yard, I think another 2 or 3 yards in order to pick up the first down, and then he just went deep to Gerald Everett, who was actually wide open until the cornerback just popped up and then just knocked it away, and Everett just wasn't ready to moss him or Randy Moss him. So overall, it was just a bad loss, and Jared Goff was just not himself. It looked like he was rookie form Jared Goff. I hate to say that, but it was just not him. He was just not the Jared Goff we were expecting. And Larry made a good point in the chat room, saying that he thought that the Raiders were going to be the first team to lose to the Jets, but fortunately
I thought it
for
was
them,
the Chargers.
Yeah, but
even they beat the Jets.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I don't understand. And the Chargers are nowhere near as good as the Rams. But you could also make the argument that the Jets played Joe Flacco that game, and Joe Flacco is basically pretty much a walking statue. But it looked like the Chargers were about to lose to the Jets early and often, and then they basically said, you know what, let's not lose to the Jets. So, and then the Raiders won off of a last 10-second miracle from Derek Carr. But that was because the defensive coordinator, Greg Williams, decided to call an all-out blitz late in the fourth quarter while the Raiders were more than likely going to throw. And it was definitely going to be a throwing play where they're going to throw the ball either deep to a receiver. And eventually they found Henry Ruggs, and boom shakalaka, they got the touchdown, and all of Jets Nation breathed a sigh of relief. And by what I mean by breathing a sigh of relief is because with the Jets winning, they've actually ruined their number one pick opportunity for the up-and-coming NFL draft. The Jaguars now have the inside track to clinching the top spot or the top pick in the NFL draft, because the Jets at this point are pretty much tanking. I know there's no such thing as tanking, and that these NFL players are playing for their jobs as well as the coaches, but I think the Jets were basically set on taking not Sam Darnold, Trevor Lawrence, and then eventually trading away Sam Darnold. But now they're in a little bit of an interesting scenario. Do they hope the Jags win another game, or do they just go with someone else like Penei Sewell out of Oregon, or Justin Fields out of Ohio State, or heck, maybe even Zach Wilson, which wouldn't be a bad idea, especially with how Zach Wilson carved up UCF yesterday in BYU's bowl game. But that's just UCF. But again, I digress on that. But I could see Sam Darnold going to another team, and I think Sam does need to get out of there. And the poor guy, I feel for this man. Sam Darnold says he wants to be a Jet for life, and he wants to stay loyal to the team, and he wants to do everything in his power to help with the Jets find success. And what's he been rewarded with? Injuries, heartbreaking losses, blowout losses, just disappointment, and him seeing ghosts, and all of the above. And I feel for the poor guy, but I hope he definitely does find success with the Jets, or he finds success somewhere else, or maybe the Jets fire Adam Gase and hire Sam's college coach Clay Helton. But that's not going to happen, because I don't think the Jets are going to hire Clay Helton. I think Clay Helton is set to stay at USC unless USC fires him and then gets Urban Meyer, which I hope so. Please bring us that present, Santa. So anyway, the Rams going forward, now they basically got to run the table if they want to win the NFC West. If they want to if they just want to clinch a spot in the playoffs, they need to at least win one more game. And their next game is a toughie because they're going up to the city that rains a lot, being Seattle, and they're going to be playing at CenturyLink Stadium up in Seattle. So it's going to be a difficult game considering Seattle got humiliated by the Rams. I think it was the first time Russell Wilson failed to score a touchdown or throw a touchdown pass. So as we welcome Ben Suttereth III in the chat, as well as Marcus Losgrade and Davidson Crooks. So thank you all for tuning in, and I appreciate you all tuning in for the last time on this show in 2020. So when it comes to the Rams against the Seahawks, what do the Rams need to do in order to beat the Seahawks and pretty much solidify their spot in the playoffs?
Well, the defense has definitely got to play better and much more organized against Russell Wilson and do everything they did in their last game against the Seahawks here at home, and just make them uncomfortable and then make him make it difficult for him to operate. And I go back to this last game. I mean, it's not the story of the Rams offense has been fairly consistent. I mean, the Rams don't have the greatest the greatest offensive line. I mean, I think it was Marcus Losgrade that made a really good point in the chat and said that if you stop Cooper Kupp, the Rams are easy because they have no run game. Yeah, that's very true. The Rams' offensive line's, pretty average at best. They lost a lot of key pieces that led them to the to the 2019 Super Bowl, and it showed last year, and it's showing again this year. But what's kept them in the running is their defense. I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Aaron Donald, has I think what was it? What was the stat that they shared? He has the second most sacks or tackles in NFL history. Yeah.
I didn't actually see that stat, but
They mentioned that when they mentioned that Ram that passed away, that Green guy. What's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Green,
yeah, I think it was Kevin Green, but I know who you're talking about. And yes, Aaron Donald has definitely been a treat has definitely made history for the Rams, and he's probably one of those players who really wants to win a Super Bowl, and especially with the NFC so wide open. But in order to make the playoffs, in order to get to the playoffs, you have to make the playoffs, and the Rams have a 99% chance of making the playoffs. So, like I said, they gotta run the table if they want to win the NFC
that high?
West. Yes, that's what I saw on I think it was NFL Now on ESPN, and then or it was either Channel 4, the Sunday Night Football, or NFL Now, because
there's a chance they could lose both of those games. I mean, the Seahawks and the Cardinals, are fairly good teams.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they won't. I mean, the Seattle one's the big one. I mean, you need that in order to win the division. That game will decide the division crown.
Yes.
So the postseason starts on Sunday for me.
Yes.
It's those old cliches, those old one and done cliches. Win and you're in. Survive and advance. Beat Seattle. You at the very least clinch your spot in the playoffs, and you put yourself in a great place to win the division too, and that all important home field advantage in the wild card game. Say if the Rams somehow win and fall to the 4 seed, they may have to play Tampa. I would much rather play Tampa, at home, with no fans, and having to go to Tampa, which I don't think will happen. I think I don't know. What are the standings like for that division? How far back is Tampa? Because I know the Saints lost the other day. But anyway, I'd rather play at home with no fans versus go to Florida and play, in front of any fans.
Well, here's the thing. The Bucs cannot win the NFC South. At least not that I know, because I want to say the Saints are still are at 10 wins. I know the Saints have the tiebreaker
They're
over
a
the
game
Bucs.
back. The New Orleans is just a game ahead of Tampa for the NFC South.
Okay, so if the Saints win, they clinch this week. They clinch the NFC South. The only way the Saints don't win the NFC South
Do they
is
have the tiebreaker?
Yes, they won both times. And here's the thing about the Rams. The Rams will not fall to the 4th seed because Washington cannot finish anywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Washington, I think, is like...
they're 6-8.
Yeah, 6-8. The best they can finish is 8-8, and then...
Which isn't enough.
Yeah, and if the Rams win the NFC West. But I wouldn't mind the Rams facing Washington again. Here's the thing about the Washington versus the Rams. The Rams trounced them the first time around, and whether they have Dwayne Haskins or Alex Smith, I think that defense will really make it tough for them, because Haskins has been very disappointing. I hate to say that, but Dwayne Haskins has been anywhere anything but spectacular this year, which is quite sad because he was so high on everyone's radar, and then he's just underachieved, and I feel for the poor guy. And then he's also making dumb decisions, and he got his captainship stripped away because of unfortunate events. But I digress on that. So I honestly wouldn't mind seeing the Rams face the football team, but at the same time, if you look at it another way, the Rams could face I think the Rams could play the Bucs and still play the Bucs in the first round, because Seattle would be
there's
Go ahead.
Well, because the Bucs are only a game back of New Orleans, there's a chance they still could win that division. I mean, the New Orleans would have to lose both, and Tampa Bay would have to win both. You know, that's what's so crazy about this NFC. You know, if you look at the standings for the playoffs, they're so tight. Like, a lot could happen. There's still a lot of seeding to decide. There's still you know, the Rams could also, God forbid, go home, you know, without making the playoffs. You know, it's so tight. So, you know, we got to go to work now. We got to run the table. It is what it is. You know, it sucks that we lost the Jets, but the Rams have got to put that behind them. Use that as motivation to beat Seattle. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this will be a blessing. This is a good wake up call, and it'll be a blessing in disguise, and it'll motivate them to really beat Seattle on Sunday. Excuse me, and as you put it, run the table, and, you know, maybe get us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and anything can happen. And the thing about the Rams is they cannot bank on the 49ers to beat the Cardinals this week and the Seahawks next week. As much as I want to see the 49ers play spoiler, because I think if the Cardinals lose this week, the Rams get in no matter what happens. But I mean, the 49ers have just had a plethora of injuries, and I'm sorry to Marcus in the chat room because he's a 49ers fan, but the 49ers, I don't see the 49ers beating the Cardinals or the Seahawks. I want them to, but I just don't see it likely. Like, if I had money, I definitely would put it on the Cards and the Seahawks.
The Chicago Bears are still in the running. They're 7-7.
Yeah, they're kind of that sneaky team.
They have to win. You know, if they lose on Sunday, they lose their next game, they're screwed.
Yeah, but they're going to beat the Jaguars. Like I said, the Jaguars and Jets are pretty much tanking for Trevor. And as much as I don't like saying the word, as much as most people don't want to hear the word tank, it's kind of the truth. And even with Sam Darnold of the Jets and Gardner Minshew and Jake Luton and heck, even Mike Glennon, the Jaguars are more than likely going to take Trevor Lawrence, unless they want to build up their offensive line. But I can see them taking football Jesus himself, Trevor Lawrence. So we'll see. But
wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Slow your roll. Yes, a couple questions. First of all, I teased this question on my Facebook. I didn't tweet it, but on my Facebook, I posted. It's a personal account. I share with other friends and family that I'm going to be on with you in case they want to listen. Which fan base should be more peeved at the Jets beating the Rams? Should it be the Rams fan base or the Jets fan base?
Excellent question. I would say the Jets, because the Rams should have no excuses. They should have beaten the Jets. Then the Rams should be peeved at the Rams, or Rams fans should be peeved at the Rams, not peeved at the Jets, because the Jets did they weren't even were supposed to win. Like they've had so many injuries themselves because for multiple reasons, and it's even gotten to the point where they're playing 5,000-year-old Frank Gore, who should be enjoying a game of mahjong at home.
Looked like spring chicken that night.
Yes, but he should. But the poor guy has definitely. He's been contemplating retirement, and the poor dude should be even got a concussion against the Raiders. So the dude should be enjoying mahjong at this point, or playing a game of mahjong. As that was something our host of our New York sports show once said on Twitter. He was like, Frank Gore should be enjoying a game of mahjong while the youngsters run it. And
that's so funny. That's so random. Mahjong. I haven't even played or heard of mahjong in a long time.
I was gonna say backgammon, but why not mahjong? And definitely if you're into New York sports,
shuffleboard.
Yeah. If you're definitely into New York sports, definitely tune in every Wednesdays to the show that never sleeps with Harrison Glaser and Pierre Moss, who do a top-notch job recapping all of New York sports, especially the Jets. Like, Harrison Glaser is a walking encyclopedia for the New York Jets. And Larry says he doesn't know what mahjong is.
What mahjong is? Is that what you're saying, Larry?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what mahjong is. And we haven't played it
played
since...
mahjong.
Yeah, both of us have. But it's been like forever. But mahjong is... How do we explain it? I think it's
a Chinese tile game, you know. It's almost like Chinese poker.
Or a better yet, I think it would be like gin rummy. And he says it sounds French.
There you go. Yeah. That's a better comp, gin rummy. Yeah.
Yeah, and both of us know how to play that. And he says it sounds French. I'm pretty sure it's Chinese.
No. No, if you Google it, Larry, you know you could definitely tell it's Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Mahjong. Well, I guess the way I pronounce it could be French, but no, it's like mahjong.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, it's not Chinese.
Mahjong, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But bottom line is, it's a very old game, and it's pretty much for like some of those. For those people who love like tile games and board games to enjoy. So yeah. But anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. But Rams should be. I think when it comes to the Rams versus Seahawks, I think the Rams beat the Seahawks. Everyone's probably going to be jumping at me saying, "Oh my God, you're only saying that because you're the host of the show." No. I think the Rams can beat the Seahawks. They shut them down the first time. I think Jalen Ramsey needs to continue to shut down DK Metcalf. Like, when the two first played, DK Metcalf was basically a ghost against the Rams.
That's a really good point. Yeah, you got to stop that guy. You know.
yeah, you got to stop.
Stephen A. Smith, as Stephen A. Smith would say, you know, cut off the head, and the rest of the pieces will fall. You know, which is what the Jets did with Aaron Donald.
Exactly, and
that's what the Rams need to do with the Seattle Seahawks as it relates to Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf.
Yeah, and then they've also got like Chris Carson at running back, Carlos Hyde. I think they could cancel the running game, and then the only one who I really think could have a big game is Tyler Lockett, their wide receiver, who has just been dynamite for their team. Like, if it's not DK Metcalf, it's definitely Tyler Lockett who gets involved into the offense. But they just got to make it tough on Russell Wilson. They got to pressure him. But I think I could also expect the Seahawks to have their run game, because I think the first time the Seahawks did not have Chris Carson. They didn't have Carlos Hyde. They were using running backs such as Travis Homer and DJ Dallas. I was like, who is DJ Dallas? And his name is not spelled like D and then J. It's spelled D-E-E and then J-A-Y. It's like DJ Dallas. Does he bring the music because he's the DJ?
I was gonna say he sounds like the biggest strip club DJ in Dallas.
I was gonna say, it's like, I'm like, who is this guy? It sounds like he's a rapper instead of a football player.
Yeah, that too.
But honestly, I still think the Rams can beat the Seahawks. Like, they now know what they got to do, because if they lose to the Seahawks, they can't win the NFC West. It's that simple. And like I said, they cannot bank on the Cardinals to lose to the 49ers, because as talented as the 49ers are, even without some of their key players like Nick Bosa, Jimmy G, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and all those other talented players that they had from last year, I just don't see them beating the Cardinals. The Cardinals have so much offensive firepower of their own. They have Kyler freaking Murray. That dude is like Michael Vick and Lamar Jackson, except shorter.
Except who's the better team? The Rams or the Cardinals?
Definitely the Rams.
Then why can't the Rams beat the 49ers?
Good. That's a very good question. I don't know. It could be a NorCal versus SoCal thing, or maybe it's just that the 49ers have had nothing to lose. I mean, when Jimmy G plays, it's kind of expected that the 49ers can win, because Jimmy G has not lost to the Rams as a starter of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, when it comes to C.J. Beathard or Nick Mullins playing, I don't know what went wrong. Like, I don't know, but it must be one of those, like, 2020 moments or any given Sunday moments. Either way,
or as John Ireland, says, maybe the 49ers just have the Rams number, and they can't. The Rams just can't seem to shake them. It's like the bull. They're like the bullies that you just can't seem to beat, no matter what you do. Eventually you break through.
Yeah, and even injured, it's quite sad. It's quite sad that the Rams can't beat the 49ers. But their opponent this week are
the Jets. I mean,
yeah.
The Rams are unfortunately the ultimate Jekyll and Hyde team. And, this is going to be a good test. If the Rams, maybe the big test of the 2020 season for the Rams, if they can't beat the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday, they're not. I don't even think that. I think they're done. They may make the playoffs, but I think they go home in the wild card, unfortunately.
I think I'll give them at least the divisional round, because if they play Washington, that's a gigantic mismatch. But we'll see. They still got to make the playoffs.
Well, but when they fall, but they may fall lower. They won't. They may not even play Washington. They may end up playing like
Seattle. They could end up playing Seattle again, or they could
They could play Seattle, yeah.
Or
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah. Yeah, Green Bay is currently the 1 seed, and they pretty much are on track to being the 1 seed. So yeah, there is that possibility, but I think if it comes down to... But they do have the tiebreaker over the Bucs, so that's something you definitely got to make note of, and they can't fall below the Bucs if the two are tied, so... They just got to do their part, and the Bucs.
Well, I'm just thinking about the win-loss scenario. Like, the question is, where are these teams going to end up? Again, the Rams could split their final 2 games. They could win out. They could lose both of them. There's no guarantees what's going to happen, because both the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals are good teams. Arizona's been playing really well lately. I mean, Seattle not so much. So that's why I think that's the game. That's the game that's gonna tell both the Rams and Seattle's tales as to where they're at in the season. The Seattle wants to win just as badly as the Rams do. So Yes, it will. So we'll see what happens. This is gonna be some game.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna be like the Fox game of the week. If not, then we riot. But that's pretty much going to do it for the Rams. I'm just going to speak briefly on the Chargers because no one cares about the Chargers. They're not going to the playoffs. So the Chargers, who have won 2 straight, play the Denver Broncos this week. And they're actually favored to win that game. The last time the Broncos and the Chargers faced one another, the Chargers blew a 21-point lead. I was sad face, and it sucked. But this time, it's a whole new Chargers team, and hopefully they'll have most of their players back by the time they get to Sunday, because some of their players, the injury report did get released earlier today, and on the injury report there was Keenan Allen, who did not practice because of hamstring. Joey Bosa was limited in practice because of a shin and a concussion. Chris Harris Jr. was limited with a foot injury. Chris Harris Jr. actually didn't play the first game against the Broncos, and this is going to be a good revenge game for him. Hunter Henry did not practice because of illness. That's kind of unusual. Uchenna Nwosu didn't practice because of a knee injury, and then Denzel Perriman practiced in full despite a back injury. So it's good to not see Austin Eckler on this list, and as well as Mike Williams, but it is a little concerning to see Keenan Allen and Joey Bosa on here. So they still have 2 more practices to see how they'll feel when it comes to game time, but I can imagine Keenan Allen and Bosa hopefully being better by the time Sunday rolls around. And here's the thing about Joey Bosa. Anthony Lynn in the post-game conference said that he did not have a concussion. And then on Monday, I think reporters were saying that they were checking out Joey Bosa for concussion. It's like, really, Anthony Lynn? You just said on Thursday he doesn't have a concussion. It's like, can we fire this man already? I'm just going to leave it at that. But I think the Chargers beat the Broncos. It's going to be another one-score game. I know it. I say the Chargers beat the Broncos 31-24. I'll be nice. I'll be nice to the Broncos because Drew Lock is still pretty good. And even though the Broncos record is basically the same as the Chargers, they haven't had most of their team. They've pretty much been beaten up to high heaven. No Von Miller, no Cortland Sutton. Drew Lock has been banged up. He hasn't played a full season. So I think the Broncos, with injuries and underachieving, have just not been expected. I've not met their expectations. So I still think the Chargers can pull it off. It is going to hurt their draft stock, but honestly, I don't care. I'm glad they got the divisional monkey off their back by beating the Raiders last Thursday, and I'm glad they've now won 2 in a row, and I'm glad Justin Herbert now has more NFL wins than Josh Rosen, who was just recently signed by the San Francisco 49ers. So, who knows? Hopefully for Herbert's sake, that Rosen doesn't surpass him in victories, but we'll see. So that's pretty much going to be it for the NFL portion. And as for my score prediction for the Rams and Seahawks, I think the Rams win 28-17. I think they won't need any field goals, if not 31-17, but I think the Rams win by 2 scores against the Seahawks, and they make it look like that loss to the Jets was just some sort of blip. So we'll see. So now that's it for the NFL portion. And just to quickly recap some soccer action, LAFC lost to Tigres in the Champions League. And unfortunately, in the Champions League finals, they lost 2-1. And all the Galaxy fans are rejoicing because LAFC lost. I'm pretty sure Larry B is rejoicing because he's a Galaxy fan, and I'm pretty much on the Galaxy train or the Galaxy ship. But either way, the LAFC lost, and the LA Galaxy fans are pretty much going to throw a parade because of that. We'll see. But if you want more soccer action, definitely let's tune into the Soccer Scoreboard show hosted by Andrew Hagenbaugh every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And he covers all sorts of soccer. It's not just the MLS, but he covers La Liga, Liga MX, Champions League, etc., etc. Like, he just does a fantastic job. It's like walking into a soccer class in college, and he takes you on a ride full of, like, soccer and knowledgeable soccer information. It's just mind-blowing. So definitely do check out the Soccer Scoreboard show on Sunday. So anyway, let's jump into some NBA action for a bit. So last night, the Los Angeles Lakers had their championship ring ceremony spoiled by the Los Angeles Clippers, who beat them. And the thing about the Lakers losing to the Clippers was that the Lakers never led, which is kind of disappointing, as we're actually watching some basketball as we speak because we are big basketball nerds, especially my brother. So here's the thing about the Lakers-Clippers game. The Clippers scored 39 points in the first quarter alone. I was like, okay, this isn't good. But here's the thing about the Lakers that everyone should know. Before everyone starts to say, oh my god, the Lakers lost, or the Clippers are better than them, you all got to realize the Lakers have only gotten 2 months rest. Remember, they played basketball back in October, and they haven't had a full chance to heal and catch their breath. And this is why I don't like this whole NBA starting right now thing. I get they want to start the NBA back and get everything back to the new norm, but honestly, I just hate the fact that teams like the Heat and the Lakers are basically going to be like behind because they're not going to have the full proper rest. And it's disappointing because I think that it's kind of an unfair advantage, especially when the Lakers have to play like the Dallas Mavericks on Friday, because that team lost in the first round. The Clippers lost in the second round, and they have a little bit more rest, and they have a little bit more like ways to like figure out their team chemistry. And it's just, I kind of see this as like a blessing in disguise, but I would have liked, I kind of was fearing that the Lakers were going to lose to the Clippers, because you never know. Ty Lue knows how LeBron plays, considering Ty Lue coached LeBron back in Cleveland. And the Lakers had their championship ring ceremony against the Clippers, which that alone should motivate the Clippers, considering the Clippers are a crosstown rival. So it really does suck that the Clippers had to spoil them, and they weren't even in any danger. The Lakers did at least tie the game at like 75, and they eventually got the lead down to as little as like 1 or 2. But every time that happened, the Clippers just had an answer for the Lakers, and it was just so annoying. It's like, we can't, and their shot selection was a little if you ask me. So I give the Lakers credit for climbing back out of a 21-22 point deficit, but honestly, I would have, at least they made the score memorable, a little more respectable. But honestly, it just hurts losing to the Clippers, because all the semi-Clippers fans, or so-called Lakers haters, are going to be coming out of the woodwork saying, oh my god, we beat the Lakers, or the Lakers championship is basically a Mickey Mouse trophy. No. The Lakers championship trophy is for real, and if everyone is so adamant on this championship trophy, why didn't the Clippers win it? Why are Clippers fans or Lakers haters bashing them when their team couldn't even get out of the first round or couldn't even make the playoffs or didn't even get invited to the bubble. That's kind of my little food for thought. So you Laker haters, you Clippers fans, or you clout chasers overall. Yes, I'm using that word, clout chasers, because there are clout chasers all over the internet. Like, 2020 has thrown a lot at me and everyone, but one thing still remains the same. On Twitter, there are plenty of clout chasers and trolls, and those people should get a lump of coal. And to quote my boy Marcus Losgreat, all I gotta say to all these clout chasers is, the nerve of you. The nerve of you for clout chasing. No one wants to see that clout chasing on Twitter. Okay. Anyway, Justin, what were your thoughts about the Clippers-Lakers game, and what do you think the Lakers could have done to get the W?
Well, yeah. The Lakers could have done, several things to put themselves in a better position to win opening night. But you know what? I'm so glad that you hit all the points that you just hit. Because I don't think enough people are talking about what you just said. The Lakers are just barely over 2 months removed from winning a championship. And think about where the Lakers were. They just won the championship. They had to immediately get ready for the draft. They had to immediately roll over into free agency, which they won. Which they won. And they did by far the best out of anybody in free agency, out of any organization in free agency. But at the same time, they had very little time to prepare for opening night on the 22nd. We didn't even know when the season was going to start until just over a month ago. They were still working that out. We weren't even sure if it was going to be able to start on Christmas Day because of how bad COVID's been getting, over the course of the last couple months. So it's a miracle that we have basketball back at all right now, and again, Lakers with very little time to prepare, just barely having a chance to get their second win, and getting their rings. Meanwhile, the Clippers have been stewing over these last 2 to 3 months over their second round loss to Denver, and they played like a team that had nothing to lose. They were very motivated to get a fresh start going, and that's what carried them. But here's the thing. This is why people shouldn't. This is another reason why people shouldn't take much stock into this opening game, and why the Lakers are still the team to beat in 2021. The Clippers led by as many as 23 points or something like that?
21 or 22 points. I'm pretty sure it was 21, but Kevin Harlan said 22.
Okay. All right, we'll go with Kevin Harlan. He called the game. Yeah, they led by as many as 22 points, and the Lakers nearly erased that lead. They were only down by 2 at halftime. They still had plenty of chances to win. I don't know if they just didn't have the horses. LeBron turning his ankle didn't help. There were so many things that went wrong, and the Clippers, were able to hold on and win that game, but they only beat them by 7 points. They should have beat them by like 20 or 25. And the reason why the Lakers got back in is the reason why the Lakers won last year. Defense. Their defense, they still have, in my opinion, again, best team in the NBA, best 1-2 punch in the NBA, best defense in the NBA. Now the Clippers, give them credit. They played great defense, at the very least in the first half. They forced a lot of turnovers. They got a lot of points off those turnovers. That's what carried them to victory. But the Lakers by far outweigh everybody, on both offense and defense. I put them up against any team in the NBA, and I would give the Lakers best 4 out of 7 any day, any week. If they're still healthy. Now that's gonna be again just because of what we talked about at the very beginning. With the short rest, that's gonna be the theme of the season. Can the Lakers stay healthy? How much is this restart? This quick restart going to hurt them physically, and it's going to be interesting to see. And also, we're COVID central, at least in America we are. Southern California, we have the strictest lockdowns in the nation for a reason, because COVID is exploding, a lot in the Southland, especially in LA County. LA County is the hotspot for coronavirus. So, how much are the Lakers going to protect them? Going to keep themselves safe? We hope they will. We hope that they're professional enough to, to keep themselves and their family safe and just stay at home. I mean, again, we're like almost completely shut down now. There's not much to do. So, but you just don't know. So can they keep themselves healthy from injury and from COVID? Those are my two biggest questions. And if they can't, how much is that going to hurt them over time?
That's some great points right there. And now that you mentioned COVID, one of the games slated for tonight, it was the Houston Rockets. Yeah, the Houston Rockets had to cancel the game because they didn't meet the minimum requirement of players. In other words, they didn't have 8 players to play, which is kind of concerning because
why? Because of COVID?
Yeah, because
do they have that many players testing positive for COVID? What's going on?
They've either tested positive for COVID or their test results have not come back or they're inconclusive. So
yeah, that's what it's saying. I'm reading the ESPN article right here. It says, quote, the NBA said 3 Rockets players have returned tests that were either positive or inconclusive for the coronavirus under the NBA's testing program. In addition, 4 other players are quarantined under the contact tracing protocol, and Chris Clemens was unavailable because of a ruptured Achilles. So, and there's another hot spot, Texas.
Yes. Yeah, indeed. And I'm very... But I would think the Lakers players are professional enough when it comes to, be smart about this. They were smart in the bubble for the most part. None of them were stupid, and they did everything they could to, not get COVID and not get in trouble in the bubble. I mean,
that's the thing. They were in a bubble. They were insulated from the world, and they handled it really well. But now they're back in their own cribs. I will say this though: the Los Angeles Lakers have one of the oldest rosters in the NBA, and in this case that could be a good thing. Maturity. And I think I think the Lakers only have like 3 players on their roster, including Talen Horton-Tucker and a couple others who are under the age of 25.
Yeah, and I think the other one is probably Alex Caruso, a.k.a. the future GOAT. But back to the Lakers and Clippers game. I just think everyone is jumping the gun too quickly, especially some of these so-called experts, like Marcellus Wiley. Not to put, because he's a former Charger and a diehard Clippers fan. He said, Nick Wright, from Fox, was saying, "So, Marcellus Wiley, if the Clips hang on tonight, is this a top 10 moment in franchise history or top 5?" And then Marcellus Wiley was like, "So sweet of you to think of me on asterisk night," because he thinks the Lakers championship has an asterisk next to it.
Oh,
and
good
then,
Lord.
Yeah, I even questioned him on that. And one Laker fan was like, "Do not even bother. He's in his Clippers feelings." And anyway, he said, "Damn, that celebration was short-lived." And yes, he actually said "damn." So, excuse my French. Can't run from us this year, and no AAU bubble to hide in. Hashtag ball don't lie. Hashtag Clip City, Chip City. And it's like...
AAU bubble?
That's what I was wondering.
That doesn't even make any sense. And to me, that's not even funny. I mean, we're in such an no. It's all right. I'm not. Throwing arrows at you. I'm throwing arrows at Marcellus Wiley for that tweet. Like you have no idea what those players went through in that bubble. It was hard. Like it almost broke them. We weren't even sure if they were going to finish the bubble, especially after the Jacob Blake shooting, where Milwaukee asked to postpone the games.
Mm-hmm.
There's something. They were away from their families, miles away, and they could barely even speak to them. Other than when they were in their rooms, and they had to stay holed up for like 2 to 3 months, And again, we mentioned this several times, during the bubble games and on last week's podcast. That was the reason why teams like Marcellus's Clippers, as well as the Bucks, folded early in the playoffs, because they didn't, they couldn't handle it mentally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I definitely remember you saying that on a past
Now,
episode.
if he wants to call it an asterisk, if he wants to say, well, if the Clippers were home and the home cooking was the reason why they beat the Lakers last night, he could make that argument, but to dismiss it as an AAU bubble is just in my opinion really insensitive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it also is unfair that the Clippers had more fans than the Lakers did last night. If you get
what?
that. I said it's also unfair that the Clippers had more fans than the Lakers did last night.
What are you talking about?
In other words, 0, because there's no such thing as Clippers fans, only Lakers haters, according to Ice Cube.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I was just gonna say the Lakers, both the Lakers and the Clippers had equal amount of fans and haters in attendance. 0.
Yeah. I'm just messing around and trying to be funny, but yeah. And then obviously another so-called sports expert was blowing the game out of proportion in terms of the Clippers winning and how he won a free case of Mountain Dew because the Clippers lost.
You know what? Charles Barkley's right. The word expert is so overused. Only God's an expert.
Exactly. Yes, and Charles, and whenever Charles Barkley is right, it is guaranteed. I gotta throw that in there just because he's already made that reference, but I think the Lakers will be fine going forward. The fact that they even tried to climb out of a 20-point hole and almost came back is quite amazing. They just kind of ran out of gas, and the fact that they were even scrapping toward the end is quite impressive as well. So I think this is just going to add more fuel to the fire, and I think it's just going to motivate LeBron some more. The only thing I kind of wish is that I kind of wish it wasn't the Clippers who were their opponent on ring night, because that's basically bulletin board material for them, especially for like players like Paul George or Kawhi Leonard or Patrick Beverley, who was trying to get in LeBron's head,
or the coach, the new coach Ty Lue. I'm sure he was motivated to beat the Lakers. Being that it's his former team, and and the fact that he was LeBron's former coach, and he felt that the Laker organization did him wrong a couple years ago when the head coaching job was open.
Yeah, so it was definitely motivating for the Clippers, especially getting back on the court. And also, the Lakers beat the Clippers in preseason, which I don't really care about. Like, I don't get why people were like, oh my god, Talen Horton-Tucker is the Clippers' daddy. It's like, the Clippers were on a minutes restriction. He and the others got more minutes, and they didn't have LeBron. So, please stop blowing preseason up. I'm just saying. So, anyway, Lakers play on Christmas Day against the Dallas Mavericks, while the Clippers play the Denver Nuggets. I'm excited for both those matchups, especially for the Lakers matchup. It's Luka Doncic versus LeBron/AD, and it would be even great if the Mavericks had Kristaps Porzingis, but it is what it is. The Lakers also play the Minnesota Timberwolves on Sunday to close out the first week. And also the Clippers play the Dallas Mavericks on Sunday. That's going to be a fun matchup, especially since the Mavericks want revenge for what happened in the bubble playoffs. And I think it would be fun to see the Mavericks just give it all they got against the Clippers. But they just got to take it one game at a time, and it's basically a Los Angeles swing. It's basically a Los Angeles road trip. They have the Lakers on Christmas Day, and then they have the Clippers 2 days after. And then, surprisingly, the Lakers got 3 home games to start. They got the Timberwolves on Sunday, and then Monday they have the Trailblazers at home, which is like, okay, 3 home games, and it's a back-to-back game, which I rarely see back-to-back games when it comes to the Lakers playing on Sunday, but I don't know. And that's how the schedule is formatted. Their first road game will be next Wednesday when they travel to San Antonio to play the Spurs. It's going to be a fun one. And
a lot of January is going to be on the road for the Lakers, I heard.
Yep, that's pretty much their Grammy trip on a regular basis. So,
yeah, but the Grammys aren't even until the end of January, right?
Yeah, but I think it's primary that maybe they just moved it because of COVID and whatnot. Like all I know is that they normally have their Grammy trip in January, because we were kind of a part of that Grammy trip back in 2013.
It's like late. It used to be late January, early February, because like the Grammys used to be in the middle of February, like the week 1 or 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. And they were also really careful not to have it compete with the All-Star game. But this year the Grammys is like the last Sunday of January, like a week before the Super Bowl. I think that's how it was last year. Actually, no, it was on the 24th. It was on January 24th. I remember, because that was the day we lost Kobe, unfortunately, and it was such an emotional night.
Mm-hmm.
Going through the January schedule, against the Spurs at San Antonio on New Year's Day, at Memphis again. They got 2 games at Memphis. Yeah. It's just a product again, it's just a product of 2020. The schedule's going to be weird. It's not going to be a normal schedule. Then they're at home against the Spurs and the Bulls on another back-to-back, Thursday and Friday, 7th and 8th. Then at Houston on the 10th. At Houston again on the 12th. Yeah, and they cram those, and there's a lot of back-to-backs too. And they're trying to cram 72 games within what? 4 months?
Yeah. And I'm just going to say this. It feels weird saying the Lakers have 72 games instead of 82 games. It just sounds so weird. But again, thanks, COVID. We greatly appreciate it. May you not follow us into 2021. So yeah, and I could imagine maybe the Clippers will more than likely be getting home games in January, because you have to admit the Lakers, when it comes to Lakers games and Clippers games, they have to change the floors and whatnot, and they can't basically change everything and then get everything sanitized, and that's just going to make everything just 10 times tougher. I'm surprised they're having the Lakers and Clippers play on Sunday. But at least they have a nice little window frame. Like every time the Lakers play on Sunday, it's most likely at 6:30, because it's just formatted that way, and maybe it's because the Clippers, they want to sanitize everything, change everything back to normal before the next day. But again, this is just going to be something to get used to. So,
well, hopefully this will be the last season we have to do something like this. Hopefully everything just resets back to normal, starting the 2021-22 season. For that in all walks of life. By the way, the last Laker home game before the Grammy road trip is at home against the Warriors on Martin Luther King Day. And then they've got 7 consecutive games starting on Thursday, the 21st on the road against Milwaukee. First of 7 games. They're not back home until they've got the Bucks, the Bulls, the Cavs, 76ers, the Pistons, the Celtics, and the Hawks before they come back home. And they won't come back home until Thursday, the February 4th, when they host Denver.
Yeah, that's quite the schedule there. I think they're going to be used to it.
It's not too rough of a schedule.
Yeah, I think they're going to get used. They're going to be used to it, and I think what you said is true. They may be one of the oldest teams, but they have wisdom, experience, and maturity, and I think that, and most
of all, championship experience.
Yes, and we definitely got to give a lot of credit to Frank Vogel. I don't think he gets a whole lot of credit because he's not part of the upper echelon of coaches, and I think he could have gotten Coach of the Year last year. I understand they wanted to give it to a coach that was more deserving, like Billy Donovan. I think he got it last year, the Thunder coach, but I think you could make the argument that Vogel should have gotten it, but it is what it is. I think
I would have given it to Vogel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Lakers fan, but you're absolutely right. I mean, him leading his team the way he did, getting that team to gel as quickly as he did. Nobody expected the Lakers to go on the start that they did. The experts in air quotes, didn't even think the Lakers would get the top seed in the West.
And also some of them even had them losing to the Trailblazers, and even and one so-called expert.
That was such a joke.
Even had the Lakers getting swept by the Trailblazers, and this so-called same expert is putting, I think, $2,500 on the Portland Trailblazers going to the finals. And
guaranteed!
Yep, guaranteed. And unfortunately, this so-called expert has guaranteed that to happen now. So
Yeah. He picked he said at the end he picked Portland to go to the finals.
When the West is pretty much goes through the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Nuggets.
Don't forget Dallas.
Oh yeah, Dallas too. The West is just loaded this year. Like it would be even more loaded with Golden State, but unfortunately, Klay Thompson tearing his ACL was just so heartbreaking. And
Do you know when Klay's supposed to be back?
Next year, probably. Like,
is he going to be out for the whole season?
Yeah, he's out for the year, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he posted it on Instagram.
I mean, I thought it was a possibility, but I didn't think. Yeah, but I mean, like, I wasn't completely sure he was going to miss the year. Then, yeah, if that's the case, the Warriors aren't going to make the playoffs.
A team that I could see make the playoffs is probably the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they have the pieces.
If it weren't for Chris Paul going to Phoenix, I would have given the Warriors a shot to at least get the 8th seed even without Klay. But the Phoenix is no joke. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do this season. They start tonight against Dallas. At 7 o'clock. I think 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it has to be around that time. And here I was making jokes one time about the Phoenix
7:30.
The Phoenix Suns, because I made a joke about the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks, saying that the Dallas Mavericks played their Q team against the Phoenix Suns, but the Phoenix Suns are for real. So I am really looking forward to how this season pans out, and I kind of wonder if they're bringing back the play-in games as well, which I don't know. Do you know if they're bringing back play-in games, or
what do you mean play-in games?
That they had in the bubble, or was that just a one-time?
I don't think so. I think that's just a one-time thing because of the seeding games.
Yeah, because of this whole bubble.
There were just so many unforeseen circumstances. You had like 3 teams tied for like 8th or 9th. Just outside of the bubble for the 8th seed. So they wanted to give those teams a chance to make the playoffs, but I don't think they bring that back this season.
Yeah,
the only way I see them bringing that back this season is if this COVID thing gets bad enough to where the NBA has to shut down and restart again.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen. So
I do though. I can see them bringing back the bubble though.
Yeah, the bubble was such a great idea.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, it was. And
for the playoffs, I mean.
Yeah, definitely for the playoffs. But I definitely think the bubble worked. Like, there were no positive COVID cases. Mm-hmm. So, bring back the bubble. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Take note, NFL. I digress, though. But that's pretty much going to do it for the basketball portion of the NBA portion of the show. We're actually going to skip the NCAA basketball portion of the show because there's a lot to cover. There was a noteworthy game that happened. Long Beach State and USC faced off against each other in women's basketball, and USC surprisingly only won by a little stubby amount. I think it was like 71 to 65, which is not bad for Long Beach State. I know USC doesn't have the greatest women's basketball team in the world, not compared to the past, but Long Beach State played them tight. I give them credit. And then St. Catherine, UC San Diego blew the doors off of St. Catherine, which was to be expected. A big time semi stunner was UC San Diego actually leading against Cal Baptist, who is 8-0, and then unfortunately the game had to be shut down because of inconclusive COVID tests. And the shocking thing is that UC San Diego was leading, and it wasn't halftime, because women's basketball plays with quarters, and since it didn't cross the 30-minute threshold or didn't surpass 30 minutes, the game was not counted, and it was canceled or postponed. So I don't know how UC San Diego and Cal Baptist are going to resume that game, or if it's going to be resumed or whatnot. But I gotta give it up to Cal Baptist. They are actually undefeated going into this week, so kudos to them. And hopefully everything's good and all squared on their end, because that Cal Baptist team is pretty good, if you ask me. So we shall see what happens between those two. And I'm pretty sure they haven't lost a game. Yeah, they haven't lost a game, because they were 8-0 going into that postponed game, and their next game isn't until next year. So I think that's going to be enough for NCAA basketball. And just to recap the Pac-12 football game, I was not happy. USC played like garbage. I was so disappointed. Keaton Slovis threw 3 interceptions. It was just, USC just wasn't prepared. He threw 2 interceptions in one half, and then his third interception was underthrown, and it was a great play by the defender, because he tipped the ball, and then he kept himself in bounds, intercepted it, and then that was basically GG, no re. So it's basically good game, no rematch. So either way, I was just so disappointed in USC just losing to Oregon. And of course they lost when it mattered most. And the thing about USC is that they are not going bowling. They've decided to forego bowl season. I think the same is also said for UCLA, who lost to Stanford this past weekend. They lost in heartbreaking fashion. They lost in overtime, or double overtime, 48-47. They went for 2 in double overtime, and they wound up getting stopped at the 1-yard line or the half-yard line. So unfortunately, that is pretty. And I don't think San Diego State is playing in bowl games. So unless I hear about that and make note of it, but I don't think they're going to be playing, because I think they would be preparing for said bowl game. But that's pretty much it for college football in Southern California. All in all, I'm glad we got some Southern California college football action in. I was just disappointed that USC didn't meet its expectations. I'm pretty sure if USC had beaten Oregon, they would have accepted a bowl game invitation. And UCLA, to me, improved. And then San Diego State was disappointing. Not just because I'm not saying that they were bad. I'm just saying that they disappointed, because they were actually chosen to finish first in their division, but then they got caught by San Jose State, who wound up winning the whole Mountain West Conference, and then they just had so much offensive ineptitude, and it's disappointing, because San Diego State has a solid program. So that's pretty much closing the book on the NCAA football season. So now, before we sign off, we're actually going to continue to talk about some amazing Southern California moments, because I just barely scratched the surface, honestly. So we have many more great Southern California moments to choose from, and my brother's actually going to be picking some Southern California moments as well. So another great Southern California moment that happened was that we got to see the emergence of Justin Herbert of the Chargers. Yes, the Chargers' record is still abysmal, but he has just been breaking so many records, and he is still on pace to break records. Like, he just needs 594 passing yards in order to break the passing yards record, and also he needs one more touchdown to have the passing touchdowns record, which I know he's going to get, because Denver's defense is basically break and not bend. I know they have an okay defense, but their defense has just been beaten up all over the place. I think they've had another guy go who's out for the season. He's on injured reserve, and he's out for the year. But so have the Chargers defense, so I can't really compare apples. I can't really talk all that much, but I'm glad we did get to see the emergence of Justin Herbert. It was so unfortunate of what happened with Tyrod Taylor, and I feel for the poor guy, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise that Justin Herbert got to be unlocked, and I'm glad he's beginning to strut his stuff because he's definitely a lock for Rookie of the Year. Like, with Herbert, he's just made the Chargers offense so flashy and so amazing. I just hope he can continue. I just hope the Chargers can, like, build around him. Get him a proper head coach. Get him an offensive line so he doesn't risk suffering the same fate as Joe Burrow. And get everyone healthy. And get him a team that can actually play a full 4 quarters. Like, nothing against the Chargers, but their defense kept bending instead of breaking. Their special teams was just atrocious. They are dead last in special teams for like the millionth time. And it's just so disappointing. So that's another great moment from Southern California. Another amazing moment that happened in Southern California. And how could I forget about this? The Dodgers winning the World Series. And that being the reason of they ended a title drought of their own. They hadn't won a World Series championship since 1998. And that was actually the same year the Lakers won a championship. And it was a great thing. So it was the last time the two actually won a championship in the same year, which was also quite astounding as well. So honestly, I'm glad the Dodgers finally lifted that curse. I'm glad Clayton Kershaw got to walk away a World Series champion. I know people are going to say, is it really a World Series championship? Of course it's a World Series championship. Obviously, nobody wanted this season, but obviously they didn't want. No one asked for this. Obviously, they wanted a full 162 game season, but I think it's pretty much a championship well earned, and the fact that the MLB had to like scrap together something, despite everything being delayed and whatnot, is just it's just a great thing, and I'm happy for the Dodgers, and I'm finally glad they got that World Series monkey off their back. And one of my friends said 43 wins in a 60-game season equates to 116 wins in a 162-game season. Would they have won 116? Who knows? But a deserving champion is the Dodgers, and he couldn't have said that any better. So everyone can hate on the Dodgers and say that they bought their way to a World Series, but why didn't anyone stop them? That's my opinion. Why did the Braves not close the door on the Dodgers when they were up 3-1? That's pretty much what I want to know. So it's just food for thought. So Justin, I'm going to pass this to you, and then we'll pretty much get going because it's way past our dinner time. So what were your memorable moments in terms of Southern California?
You want me to start with the good moments, the bad moments?
I've pretty much touched upon the good moment, or the bad moments. You could just give me the good moments if you like.
Well, first of all, I was gonna say, I'm glad you mentioned the Dodgers. I was gonna say, yeah, you completely forgot about the Dodgers. I mean, the Lakers weren't the only ones that weren't the only big LA team that won a title this year. Yeah, the Dodgers winning the title, is just absolutely historic too. I think it's easy to forget about the Dodgers just because, well, not just because of the whole the Lakerness of it all, of all of 2020, starting from Kobe Bryant's death to, LeBron winning his first title with the Lakers. I guess it does kind of overshadow the Dodgers. Plus, being they won it in such a weird year, that does get lost because of COVID. Unfortunately, sports ratings were down this year for all sports because they're all meshing with each other. You had the World Series competing with the NBA, both the NBA playoffs and the NFL regular season, and the NFL and the NBA are unfortunately for hardcore baseball fans, they are the kings of sports, at least here in America. But yeah, we cannot possibly forget about the Dodgers winning an historic a World Series in 2020, first time in 32 years. You mentioned, and it was good that the Dodgers this Dodgers team, especially Clayton Kershaw, was finally able to get that monkey off their back. I mean, what else good that happened in LA sports? Do you remember?
Well, I talked about the emergence of Justin Herbert on the Chargers. I'll also say the Rams also getting back to form and registering some solid victories.
No! After this Jets loss, I cannot go there with the Rams just yet. They got to seal the deal. They got to seal the deal. They got to, for me to put the Rams in with the even close to the Lakers and the Dodgers. They've got to win they not only got to win the playoffs, they got to win the division. That's the only way they can salvage 2020. If the Rams don't even make the playoffs, then no, that's a bad moment of 2020.
Yeah, and you're right. Another good moment from when it came to Southern California sports was the San Diego Padres. How could I forget about them? But then again, it's easy to forget about them because the Dodgers beat them in the divisional round. But the San Diego Padres had quite the amazing season. They rose to the occasion. They had Robert Acuna Jr. I think that's
Ronald Acuna.
Ronald Acuna Jr. Thank you. Emerging as as probably the next Mike Trout, and the fact that the Padres won a playoff series.
Wait, hold on. Ronald Acuna Jr. is on the Braves.
Oh,
the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, Fernando Tatis.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting all my players confused.
You're getting the juniors mixed
yeah,
up.
And also I was talking about the Braves earlier, but Fernando Tatis Jr. was definitely emerging as a star, and he could very much be the next Mike Trout, and he's doing a great job, and as well as the Padres organization as a whole, and I can see them eventually getting back to the big stage. The only problem is that they're on the same path as the Dodgers, and that was basically a recipe for disaster for them. So I think that the Padres will be back on the big stage real soon. And like I said, they won their first playoff series in freaking forever. I couldn't believe how long it was. I think it was somewhere in the 2000s when they last won a playoff series, and they pretty much deserve it. I think they fought tooth and nail with the Cardinals and eventually came out on top.
I don't think they won a playoff series since they went to the World Series in '98. No, or was it '99? I think it was '99 actually. They went to the World Series.
Yeah, it would have to be around that, but either way, it was just an amazing moment for them, and I think it was just great that they finally gave the Dodgers some trouble in the regular season, but it was. They won the NL pennant in 1998, and they could possibly.
Was 98? Okay.
Yeah, they did win the NL West back in 2006, but they haven't really won. They haven't had too much success, but it was 22 years since they last won a playoff series. So yeah, it was 1998. So that was good stuff. And I'm glad they were able to break the San Diego curse, and especially when they didn't have Mike Clevenger.
Even though it was just a wild card series, that you would count that.
Yeah, I would, because the Padres have been anything but spectacular, especially since the Dodgers are pretty much the tenants in the NL West, and they the thing about them clinching that series is that they didn't have Mike Clevenger and Daniel Lament due to injuries in the regular season, so they had to. Jace Tingler basically had to put on his big boy pants and play strategically in terms of pitching. So I'm glad Tingler was able to get it together and get the Padres their first series win in over 22 years. And it was 1998 when they last won a series.
Back
when they won the
World Series.
back when they won the NL Championship. So I'm glad they were able to. It was kind of like a long time coming. They're kind of like the Chicago Cubs, except the Cubs have actually won something, and the Padres haven't really won anything. But overall, it is a beautiful thing for the Padres, and they're bound to break through eventually, as long as they basically keep their roster and they don't have anyone do anything stupid during these times. So
they have a future. I think they just need to improve their pitching a little bit.
Yeah, the team that really needs to improve their pitching is
without question the Angels.
Yeah,
go get Trevor Bauer. Don't pussyfoot around, as our grandmother would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Bauer to Anaheim. Mm-hmm. And please, Trevor Bauer, please come to the Angels. We definitely need all the pitching we can get. But do you have any other great Southern California moments before we sign off?
I don't think so. I mean, what other great moments were there? We're lucky we got the Lakers and the Dodgers. I mean, nothing else was going on. You hardly had any collegiate sports, any high school sports. Other than the Lakers and the Dodgers, nothing really happened in 2020 that was good.
The Sparks got bounced, one and done in the first round, and that made me so sad face. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But then again, their playoff format was kind of tricky because I think it was the first round and the second round are basically one and done, and then the conference finals and the finals were basically series, which is it's definitely saddening because I think the Sparks could have.
LAFC didn't do anything this year.
Yeah, they couldn't even win in the MLS's back tournament, and they couldn't even win in the Champions League against Tigres. So. Although they kind of got
we're not ending on a good note.
Unfortunately, but I will say this, as we wrap up this show, it has been a great experience doing this show. I can't believe we're a quarter of the way through the century mark. We're on episode 25, and it's just astounding, and I think that this show definitely has a bright future, and I hope we can continue to keep it going, and definitely having you on as a guest really makes the show better, as well as having Chris Young, my past guest, who is a New England Patriots fan, on. And yes, I know he's a Bostonian fan, but I'll just say this: he definitely loved to talk football, and even though I had to dry his tears after the Patriots got smacked by the Rams, he definitely proved his football knowledge, and who knows, maybe we could have him on as a host for our Boston show. Who knows? The world is our oyster, and I'm so glad we got to have the show going on, and despite everything that went on throughout 2020, I'm glad we were able to scrap something together, and I'm glad Southern California got two champions, the Dodgers and the Lakers. It would be great to have the Rams come back home as Super Bowl champs, but we may have to take a rain check on that one. And it also would have been great to see
TBT, to be determined.
Yes, and also would have been great to see USC ending their season undefeated or getting some sort of consideration for the college football playoff, but unfortunately the Pac-12 kind of dropped the ball on them.
It definitely did.
Yeah, and on the other teams. So, but we'll have to see next year, and I think the future is bright for the show, and I hope we can have you back on next year, and it's going to be a fun time to have you on. And it was great having you on for the show for the last time in 2020, despite all that's going on.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, it really depends. I mean, I'm kind of looking for work. I could be moving out sometime next year, if not sooner. There's a job up in Modesto that may be interested in me. I'm waiting to hear back on that. If that happens, I'm taking it. But maybe someday, if that were to happen, we can, maybe there's a way you can add me remote or something.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since our friends at IE Sports Radio definitely love you as well, because they love your wisdom of basketball and how you used to play the game of basketball. It's quite amazing, and it's a beautiful thing, as our friend Marcus would say. And we definitely appreciate you tuning in, Marcus, as well as Ben and Larry and Davidson for tuning in as well. And we definitely have to show y'all love. And definitely to those that are listening, whether it's on the replay or whether it's live, we definitely appreciate you listening. And before we go, we got to give one more shout out to our sponsors, the first one being the Raider Ramble, the Las Vegas Raiders' outlet of delivering the latest news in terms of Raiders football, which produces tons of online daily articles written by a staff of talented and dedicated sports writers. You can follow the Raider Ramble on Twitter and on Instagram at the Raider Ramble, and you can like them on Facebook, being the Raider Ramble. Our next sponsor is Legacy Financial, which obviously 2020 has been a tough year for everyone, and no one has been an exception from this. And financially, it's hurt everyone as well. But you can still continue to stay positive and continue to work hard when it comes to your financial issues, as if you are ever in a moment where you need financial help or you need to save or deposit some cash, call 951-732-0130 or 510-928-2104 to book your appointment to Legacy Financial today. Andrew and Ao are the two people that are on a mission to help families build a legacy and help keep families afloat in terms of financially. You can also follow them on Twitter at Legacy_Uncut, and you can follow them on Instagram at Sims_Uncut. And then our last sponsor is 26 Sports, which covers boxing, MMA, and all things combat sports. Kind of like our friend Marcus Los Great. And if you're looking for interviews with champions, contenders, prospects, or anybody in terms of boxing, MMA, or combat sports, then look no further than 26 Sports with the one, the only, Michael Ruda. He has shows on YouTube that recaps everything that's going on throughout the month in terms of boxing, MMA, and combat sports. You can follow him on Twitter at Wolf2988, and you can follow him on YouTube at 26 Sports. Once again, that's 26 spelt out, and then the word sports. And you can follow us as a whole on IE Sports Radio on Twitter. You can follow us at IE Sports Radio as well as on Instagram at IE Sports Radio. And you could like us on Facebook, being IE Sports Radio, and please definitely do give us a 5-star rating if possible on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to us on YouTube, and check out our website, being iesportsradio.com, where we have our weekly schedule of shows, and we have our blog post as well. And we also have live calls affiliated with USRN Radio, USRN Radio 2, and Wellington Sports Radio. So definitely keep an eye on those as well. And without any further delay, for the last time in 2020, let's get on out of here, because it is way past our dinner time. And for the last time in 2020, you'll be hearing this theme, as I'll be getting a new theme for 2021, just as a fresh start. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Hold on. Go ahead.
Oh, you don't have time for these final notes and omissions? I've got a few.
Sure.
How much time do you have?
We have pretty much less than an hour before we reach the max. So.
Well, this won't take that long.
Yeah, go ahead. Just take it away.
I'll just quickly run these down. So I just want to go back. I just want to go back to the Jets Rams game real quickly in terms of which fan base should be more more peeved at their team. I mean, for me, it's definitely the Rams. I mean, the Jets need to stop squawking over the tanking thing and the number one pick for Trevor Lawrence. No matter what quarterback they have, Sam Darnold or Trevor Lawrence, neither of them, could have success with this sack of garbage they have. The Jets organization, needs to improve on their offensive line. They don't have, Sam Darnold doesn't have the weapons, needed to get him over the finish line. Trevor Lawrence isn't going to have that success anyway. I mean, we talked about this last week. The Jets have a history of taking great quarterbacks from SC, going back to Carson Palmer and
Mark Sanchez as well.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the latest, but like several going back to Carson Palmer early in his career and just flat out laying eggs with them. They never put their quarterbacks in a good position to win and have success. And so yeah, it's good. Congrats to the Jets. Bad loss for the Rams. Cannot stress that enough. You're absolutely right. The Rams-Seahawks game should be the game of the week for Fox. I looked at the Fox schedule. Yeah, nothing comes close to that game in my opinion. There is a game on Saturday that is on Amazon Prime Video only, and that is the San Francisco 49ers against the Arizona Cardinals game you were talking about before. Did you know that?
I did, actually. I did, and I'm like, well, what if you don't have Amazon Prime?
Well, then you're screwed. You can't watch it. Luckily for you, I do.
Awesome. So that's definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on. But the NFL kind of took an L on that one. The NFL really took an L on that one. But
what do you mean?
Because what if people don't have Amazon Prime? At
this point in 2020, who doesn't have Amazon?
I just would like to see it on the NFL Network. Like, at least put it on there.
Well, they already have 2 games on the NFL Network.
Yeah, it's true. I guess it's just because of a shortage of announcers and whatnot.
Well, they're still going to have people calling that game, aren't they?
Yeah.
The Prime Video game?
Yeah, but I just wish it would be more accessible. But
I might watch it just for the thrill of watching a game on Prime Video. I mean,
and to keep an eye on the Cardinals.
Yeah,
well.
the NFL has had a partnership with Amazon Prime for years now. Their Thursday night football games have been simulcast on the Fox Network or the NFL Network, as well as Amazon Prime Video. But on this occasion, they have 3 games on Saturday. The Tampa Bay Bucks against the Detroit Lions on the NFL Network. It starts at 10 on the NFL Network. And then after that game's over, you've got the 49ers Cardinals game exclusively on Amazon Prime Video. And then the day wraps up with Miami and Las Vegas at 5:15 on the NFL Network. But yeah, has that ever happened before? Or is this the first time they have an exclusive Prime Video only game?
I think this is the first time. I want to say that this is the first time this has happened. So,
Well, yep. Amazon's taken over the world, including the NFL.
2020.
Yep. Also, I was watching Sports Center this morning, and they had Neko Gumike on. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. And Neko Gumike, and they were talking about the Clippers. Neko Gumike. We all know, played under Phil Jackson, won a couple of championships with Phil Jackson in 2001 and 2, and with Shaq and Kobe, he's had a lot. Phil's had a lot of disciples. Not just playing for him, but also coaching. And trying to bring back that triangle offense. It hasn't really been successful. The triangle hasn't really been popular over the last decade, ever since Phil left, because it doesn't seem to really fit in today's modern NBA. The triangle offense is a triple post offense that favors that's designed for big men as well as mid-range scorers. I mean, as you all know, the Clippers, the Lakers, the Lakers, the stars of the Lakers 5 championship runs from 2000 to 2010 were Shaq, Powell, two of the best low post scorers in NBA history, and Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest mid range scorers in NBA history. Phil, but you know what? It could work because Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are great mid-range as far as high post players. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ty Lue manages this group. And Neko Gumike also pointed out that the Sparks coach is also a disciple of Phil's, Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher coached the New York Knicks for a few years under Phil Jackson's tutelage when he was vice president of basketball operations. Now he's brought that over to the LA Sparks, he so far they haven't really had. Was this Derek Fisher's first? This was his first season as coach, wasn't it?
I think so. I want to say it was. If not, it was.
Yeah. Well, again, like we said about. Well, actually, I shouldn't really say that because they did win. I mean, a lot of the haters, Dodger and Laker haters, are saying that this season shouldn't count because they played under bubbles, but we're counting it for them. But other than that, you got to throw out this season for as far as trying to get any success if you're not the Lakers and the Dodgers. I'm throwing the Sparks in there as well. I'm only relating this because we'll see how Derek Fisher does with the Sparks as well as Ty Lue does for the Clippers. But that's my big question. Do you think the triangle can make a comeback, Teran?
I think so, but the game is just so fast-paced now, and I think it's going more into the new school. So it still remains to be seen, but I don't know. I think because of the new youth that's taking over and all these young head coaches, I think they're pretty much going to be shying away from the triangle. So, but that's just my friendly take and all that. So, you have anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
And plus, Phil had success with the triangle with more big men. The Clippers don't really have a lot of size. The only big man they really have is Zubac. And they need, and what made the triangle so successful and easier for guys like Kobe and other shooters I can't really think of off the top of my head. Derek Fisher obviously is one of them, but yeah, shooters like that and were big men, and how guys like Kobe were able to come off of a screen and roll off of low post and high post bigs like Shaq, like Andrew Bynum, like Pau Gasol, like Lamar Odom. So again, I think the triangle can make a comeback, but you have to have the right guys to do it. They have the right stars, but they need more pieces in order for that to really work in this. No matter what day and age it is.
That's some good stuff right there. Anything else you want to add before we?
Yeah, one last thing. I want to do a bit of an in memoriam for 2020. You mentioned Kobe Bryant. Probably the biggest loss at not just from an LA standpoint, but from but from an entire global sports standpoint. I mean, the death of Kobe Bryant shocked millions, if not billions, around the world, and yeah, it was such a big deal, and it was so sad, and I was even left depressed and in tears for a while, just because I watched him grow up all my life. I saw all his highlights. I didn't even need to relive any of the great moments, because I remember them. I remember them like the back of my hand. But unfortunately he wasn't the only great sports great we lost in 2020. There were a lot of big names that came before and after Kobe Bryant that we lost in 2020. The first one being the NBA commissioner, David Stern, on New Year's Day 2020, January 1st. Yeah, David Stern died after I think he had a stroke. And he was battling something, but he'd been sick for a while, and he died at 77 years old. May he rest in peace. Other notable figures we lost were legendary basketball coach John Thompson. John Thompson was a very influential figure, the first real successful African American college basketball coach for Georgetown. Coached legendary figures such as Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson, and so many others. And one constant that the guys like Patrick Ewing, Allen Iverson, and other great players that played for him say was that John Thompson not only taught you how to be a successful basketball player. He taught you how to be a successful man, and in particular, a successful black man in America. And expected nothing but professionalism. So that was a big loss too. We also lost Tavares Jackson in a car accident. I think it was just 37. A successful NFL star, former Portland Trailblazer Cliff Robinson, former Arizona basketball coach Lute Olson, legendary baseball players such as Bob Gibson, Don Larson. Don Larson, for those that don't know, he's the only pitcher in Major League Baseball history to throw a perfect game in the World Series. Co-owner of the New York Yankees, Hank Steinbrenner, lost his life at a young age this year. Also, we lost Whitey Ford. We lost legendary Cincinnati Red Tom Seaver. Lou Brock, Joe Morgan, and Chadwick Boseman, who everybody knows him. Most people know him for playing the Black Panther, but you might also remember him in one of his early roles as his portrayal of Jackie Robinson in 42. We also lost legendary basketball coach Jerry Sloan. Remember that?
I do, yeah. It feels like 2020 has just flown by, and we're transitioning into 2021. So, yeah. Continue.
Yeah. We also lost legendary basketball player Wes Unseld. We also. As well as Tommy Heinsohn. As a matter of fact, we're legendary Celtic Tommy Heinsohn. He Marcus Losgray could probably has could probably do a whole podcast on Tom Heinsohn. We're watching the Boston Celtics Milwaukee Bucks basketball game right now, and the TNT just showed a little while ago. They just showed the Boston Celtics honoring the late great Tom Heinsohn right before the game at the TD Garden in Boston, which is where the Boston Celtics play. True legend, and also a great color commentator too. Very very hilarious. We also lost remember legendary horse War Emblem. He had to be put down this year at 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He won the 2002 Kentucky Derby as well as the Preakness. About a month ago, we lost right before Thanksgiving. We lost legendary soccer star Diego Maradona. He led Argentina to the World Cup back in 1986. If you haven't seen it already, go back into the ESPN Plus's 30 for 30 library and stream Maradona 86. Great profile on Diego Maradona and what his life was like and how he led. How he went from a kid from humble beginnings in Argentina to soccer legend and guiding Argentina to the World Cup back in 1986. He died. I think he was only like 61. Yeah, he died before his time too. And as we talked about earlier, earlier this podcast, NFL Hall of Famer Kevin Green, former Ram, former Seahawk,
Former Steeler.
Former Steeler, yeah. Third most. I think third most tackles in NFL history, behind Aaron Donald, and I forget who was number one, but yeah, we just lost him a few days ago. So yeah, a lot of greats we lost in 2020. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Definitely
May they all rest in peace.
And definitely a great tribute. Sorry about that, but amazing tribute. We did lose a lot of people in 2020, not just in Southern California, but throughout the entire world. All I could just hope for is that 2021 brings great new beginnings, great happiness, and just no more stress in our life. So hopefully we can move on from this nightmare that is 2020 and move on to great new beginnings that 2021 offers us. Without any further delay, let's get on out of here, because we are way past 2 hours. But that's none of our business. That we went out in a big way. We went out with a bang. And for the last time, you'll be hearing this theme. So once again, thank you all for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And if you stayed for all 2+ hours, I greatly appreciate it. Big thank you to my brother from the same mother, Teran Rodriguez, for joining the show one last time in 2020. And thank you to everyone listening live, and if you're listening on the replay, I definitely appreciate it as well. Yeah, I know we took more than the allotted time that I normally take, but we wanted to go out with a bang, and we wanted to leave nothing behind. The only thing we are leaving behind is COVID.
A lot to talk about.
Yeah, a lot to talk about, and all we plan on doing is leaving behind the sad memories and looking forward to making some great ones. So for everyone here at IE Sports Radio and for Justin Rodriguez, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourselves a great holiday, a great New Year's, be safe, don't be an idiot, don't be clout chasing, don't be acting all dumb on Twitter, because if so, I'm going to give you a lump of coal in my own way. Have yourselves a great rest of the weekend, great rest of the holiday. I'll see you next year. And remember one more thing. SoCal is for SoCal. Have a great night, everybody.
Family, have a very safe Christmas and happy.
Amen.
Audio Jungle.